You're watching The Experience, Comic Culture and Sales, streaming live daily to Facebook, YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter.
Hi, everybody. It's Miss Jen. You're watching us here on The Experience. This is Talkin Shop. We're going to have a lot of fun today. We get to talk to longtime friends of mine. We get to talk to Richard Davis about his new book that's coming out through Red 5, Prometheus and Chains, which I'm super excited about. And then afterwards, we get to talk to Henri Compen about his awesome Kickstarter. And we're going to have so much fun talking about what's going on in the world of comic books for these guys. And I'm going to see if I can get secrets out of them. I don't know if I'm going to be successful. Hey, cool gamer. All right, we're going to come right back after this. Hey, first person we get to talk to today is like one of the main rarities in the world in which you have someone that's successful both in comics and comic book storing. Please welcome Rich Davis.
Hey, what's up, Jen? How you doing?
Doing good. So
thanks for having me back.
We're going to spend the first half of the show, always. We're going to spend a little time helping everybody that's on today get to know you a little bit better because we know you real well. But they may not know you from all your coolness. Let's talk about your shop. You understand comic books selling more than most people that make books.
You know, I've made a lot of mistakes selling comics. So yeah, I think I've learned a few things over the years. But I own a store in Knoxville, Tennessee called Nirvana Comics Knoxville. We were just nominated for an Eisner Award for the spirit of comic books. Which is amazing. And we've won several awards for our kids section. We call it Kids in the Hall. It's a little hallway, and we have a little sign that says you must be under the age of 18 to enter. And of course, the parents get the Kids in the Hall joke, and the kids just think it's cool because it's a hallway just for them. So it's fun. We were also the store, if you guys have watched Netflix's show Swap Shop Dash for Cash. We were the comic book store, and I was the comic book buyer along with my business partner, Garen. So we had a great time, and, running Nirvana has been fantastic. I'm transitioning out of the day-to-day operations of the store now that I'm focusing more time on my writing, but I still love the community. I love being part of it. And it's just really cool to own a comic book store.
Talk to everyone a little bit about what it means to be Eisner Spirit nominated. What does that look like? What does it equate to in like the regular awards world?
You know, the Eisners they're kind of like the Tonys or the Oscars for the comic book industry. They're the biggest awards that we have in our industry. And it's a very prestigious honor to be nominated. It was a complete surprise to us when the Eisner Awards contacted us to let us know that we were among the 14 finalists for the award. So that tells us that someone, either one of our customers or a visitor, came to the store and decided that we were worth nominating to the Eisners. And then from there, the Eisner committee started investigating us, So it's been a really fantastic experience. And, hopefully we're going to make it to the final 6, and the whole store will be out there at San Diego Comic-Con with me.
Tell everybody how much work it is once you find out you're nominated. But how much work in my experience, it was a dissertation level experience in which you had to write a full dissertation and defend it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. You are not wrong. This is doing this is one of the times when I am very proud to have had my political science professor in college who said, well, you can't write anything under 25 pages because you can't say anything in it. So I know how to write those long papers, and it's been a chore. It really has. But it's worth it. It's exciting. You get to talk about your store. You get to talk about the way that you do things and what makes you different from a lot of comic book stores. And hopefully, maybe our story can inspire other comic book store owners out there to strive for an Eisner nomination, because, we're just a small shop in Knoxville, Tennessee. So if we can be nominated, anybody can be nominated. We work really hard. We have a really unique experience at Nirvana Comics. We have a great community. We do a lot of outreach. You guys also may recognize Nirvana. We were the store that raised over $100,000 last year to donate free copies of Art Spiegelman's Mouse to any student who wanted one, because the state of Tennessee decided to ban it in their public schools. So we decided, Mouse is an important book. It's something that we believe kids, especially in the middle school, early high school ages, should read. And so we just said, hey, if you want one and you're a student, come get it. And, the community really coalesced around us and supported it. And we thought it was going to be, maybe we buy 100 or 200 copies of the book and give them away. And it turned into almost 5,000 comics or graphic novels donated to students all over the country.
It's an amazing response to something that could have been negative. You made it into a very big positive. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
When you were doing all your Eisner work, did you find yourself grateful for doing it because it made you put a deeper lens on your business? Did you see anything about this? You're like, man, there's some things I'm super proud of, and some stuff that maybe I need to this might need to change just a little bit.
Yeah, you do that. You have to take a look inward when especially when you're given an opportunity like this, because this opportunity is also a challenge. Because now that we've been nominated for one Eisner, we want to win one, and then after that, we want to be nominated for another and win another. And to do that, we're going to have to keep innovating and make sure that our store stays on the cutting edge. And we're always trying to do new things. And we found a lot of areas that we didn't realize we were doing so well at until we started talking to our customers, because we wanted to ask them for their input on, what makes us an Eisner store. Why do we deserve that, in your opinion? And they would tell us things, just something simple. We have each month we have a ladies' night, Dungeons and Dragons night, and then the opposite weekend we have a ladies' night book club. And we didn't realize that those two things were so important to our customers until they started giving us the feedback. And we do little things like on Wednesday mornings, we bring in coffee and donuts from a local coffee shop named Status Dough, and our customers love that. I mean, these are just little bitty things that just help build that community. And I've always liked to say that comics isn't about competition. Comics is about community. And this Eisner process has really kind of proven that to us, because we're here not because of the way we organize our shelves, which we do a great job organizing our shelves. And we're not here because of the wide variety of comics really that we carry. And we do carry a huge variety of comic books, but we're really here because of the community and the people who support us. And, we've become a hub. We do a lot of outreach in the Knoxville community with the LGBTQ community and other kids who are underprivileged. We do a lot of work with them, with the Knoxville Leadership Foundation. And it's those connections and those roots that we've put down in the community, and I think that have really propelled us to the position we're in right now.
That's awesome. But fun fact, you can win the Eisner one time and one time only.
Well, then we'll have to bankrupt this store and start a new one.
You can make more than one location of store and have them each be nominated individually.
There we go. Okay. We can do that.
Just want to say hi to some of our viewers. Cool Gamer, hello. And a Bat Signal Comics wants your background wall.
Well, come take a picture. You can use it.
So you mentioned the show that you were part of. How did that come about?
Very kind of crazily. We knew that there was a reality show for Netflix that was going to be shooting in the area. And but we really hadn't heard anything about it. And then we got contacted by Jerry Carita from Hit and Run Productions at the time. And Jerry was like, hey, we were shooting this show one way. It was kind of like a American Pickers style with going for the History Network or History Channel's audience. But Netflix doesn't want that. They want something a little more young and a little more hip. And I was like, okay. And he called us. And so, but they decided they wanted to interview us for to be the comic book buyers on there, because they wanted to kind of expand beyond cars and guns and stuff like that. They wanted kind of a younger thing, and comic books fit that bill. So we set up an audition a couple days later, and going into it, they told us, it's probably going to be a week, maybe 2 weeks before you hear anything back. We did our audition, and I was leaving the store, and no kidding, Jen, before I got to my car, from the front door of my comic book shop to my parking spot, they were already on the phone with me wanting to schedule a callback. And then at the callback, we did it 2 days later, and they cast us right there on the spot. So it was a really great experience, really unexpected, but we had a good time. We got to go out and pretend to be the pickers and crawl through. I mean, there's one place where I actually fell through the floor in an old comic book shop that had closed down. Yeah, it's great. I mean, it's so much fun. And it's one of those things. I never thought I would be a reality TV star, but it was fun for several months to pretend to be one.
It's so interesting how you can get to a certain part in making these kinds of cool things and have them just not finish. It's kind of crazy how they can be like, we're in love with you, you're the best, whatever, and then just all of a sudden crickets. It's just like the funding went away, or they decided to go a different way, and it had nothing to do with you. By the way, Bat Signal, I don't understand you in any way. The name of you is Bat Signal Comics, but you said you're only interested in the Captain America stuff you can steal from Rich, not the Batman.
He's probably already got all the Batman stuff.
Oh, maybe. So I got to know you specifically from your first book series, your Cult of Dracula and the Rise of Dracula.
Yes.
Tell everybody a little bit about that. And is there any kind of like cool news about any of those things? Or is there another series that's attached to it, or anything else going on?
Yes to all of that. So Cult of Dracula was my first comic book. It takes the original Dracula myth and reimagines it inside of a Manson family inspired cult. And from there, we launched Rise of Dracula, which was a sequel. When you come to Rise, the cult has become a movement, and the movement is going to save the world by reducing humanity's population down to food, soldiers, and breeders, or pets. So it kind of ran with Agent Smith's idea that humanity is a virus, and just created a whole new series out of that. And from there, I started thinking, I introduced Victor Frankenstein in issue 3 of Rise of Dracula. So I started thinking to myself, without consciously thinking about it, I'm kind of moving into Stephen King's footsteps here, and kind of tying everything into one universe. Stephen King ties everything, at least tangentially, into the Dark Tower.
There's always one through thing. One character, one thing. Place, one something. Yeah.
Yeah. And so I was like, what if I were to do that with a shared horror universe? I love Victorian horror. And I was like, what if I did a Frankenstein book and I somehow linked it to Dracula? And then later, what if I do a Dorian Gray story and I link that to Dracula? And all of a sudden, my Dracula character, who I wanted to tell more stories about her, but I didn't really get to in the first 2 books because I had to cover the things that were happening around her. But now with this new shared universe, I'm starting really with Prometheus in Chains, which comes out next Wednesday. It was supposed to be out this Wednesday, but there was a little bit of a hiccup at Diamond, and they're shipping it a week late. So yay, Diamond. Love you guys, but love you guys.
There's lots of hiccups going on in the industry right now. It's okay.
I know. So yeah, and I was, with Prometheus, it's my Frankenstein story, and it reimagines Frankenstein in the post-World War II atomic age, where both Victor and Elizabeth are among the Jewish scientists, true story, that fled Nazi Germany in 1939, came to the United States, worked on the Manhattan Project, and helped the Allies win the war by building the bomb. And I was like, that sounds like a really cool way to kind of spin Frankenstein. And so I did that, and took a very personal angle with Prometheus. Um, uh, some of you may know my wife Amber passed away in 2020, and I suffer from PTSD. And so that's become a very big issue for me, post-traumatic stress disorder and mental health awareness, because there's a lot of people out there, especially our military veterans, who suffer from PTSD, and they suffer in silence because they think they have to. So what I wanted to do with Prometheus, as completely hellaciously painful as it was to do, I wanted to put my own journey with PTSD out there in the public eye. And I did that through Victor's story. And I'm hoping that folks out there who do suffer from PTSD, or maybe someone who knows someone who suffers from it, maybe they'll see this, and maybe it'll uh, give them the idea that they're not alone, because that's something that I had to learn. You're not alone. No matter what you're suffering through, there are other people out there, and if you reach out, they will reach back. So I wanted to kind of pay that forward and really explore that in Prometheus. And it's expanded my horror universe, which I'm calling the world of Dracula, and it's allowing me to do something that I think is very important, with this book.
I'd love to see that you're tackling really hard things. Um, it's something that we all need to realize, that you're not living in a bubble, that there are other people that are also struggling. And if you can talk it through with somebody else, it has less power over you, I think.
It does, because two people can lift a stone a lot easier than one, and 10 people can move that thing across the desert. So if you're not alone out there. If PTSD is not something that's easy to talk about. It's something that we don't really completely understand. I can't tell you why. The smell of Japanese cherry blossoms, I cannot tell you why that sends me immediately into tears, but it does. I can't tell you why I get panic attacks when I stay in my store for too long on a Wednesday, but I do. And a lot of people who suffer from PTSD, they make some poor choices in how to deal with it. They end up self-medicating, and that's something we explore with Victor in Prometheus. Because what happens in Prometheus and Chains, while Elizabeth is working on the Manhattan Project, radiation exposure causes her to develop terminal cancer. And her death is what sends Victor into that spiral of depression, addiction, PTSD, and an obsession with bringing her back to life. Because as you know, I like to look at these Victorian horror characters from different angles. And most people, when they focus on Victor's ambition and his obsession, they focus on it from an arrogance perspective. I wanted to focus on it from his vulnerability and his fear perspective, the fear of what he's lost, the fear of what he can never regain, the fear of dying alone. And just that weakness that he couldn't save Elizabeth from cancer, but maybe he can save her from death. And that's a little bit of where Victor's arrogance comes in. But I like to, in Prometheus and Change, we look at it from a vulnerability perspective, rather than just, I can conquer the world the way we normally see Victor. So it was really, it was hard writing writing this script. There were several times, no kidding, when I'm writing, after I finish a scene, I've turned around, I have a little trash can by my desk, and I've vomited because that's been that difficult to write this book. But it's been really interesting to just delve those depths in another person's mind, even though it's really my mind. It helps somehow to disassociate yourself when you're writing. And so living in Victor's head for a little while, it was therapeutic. I'm not going to say it was easy. I'm not going to say that it made everything better, but it was interesting, and I learned a lot about myself, and a lot about the world, and a lot about mental health.
It's wonderful. And I think you're doing something that I'm trying to think of other people that have done this. We've done shared universe, but across different publishers. Like maybe Garth Ennis's war books, they all tie together. His Avatar stuff ties to his Aftershock stuff, ties to it wherever else he's put it down. So I think it's pretty unique. There's not very many people that have done that successfully. So I like that you're doing that.
And after trying to do it, I can understand why there are very few people trying to do it, because it's really, really hard. It's hard to weave those stories together in ways that give each of the characters their time in the spotlight, but still tell this coherent story. Sometimes continuity can be a real drag on a story, because you're like, oh, I'd really love to do this, but I can't because of what happened in this panel on this page in this book would contradict it, or this would contradict that. So you have to manage a lot of things and trying to create this shared universe. So we have Dracula. There's 3 series in that. Prometheus in Chains is likely going to be just a 6-issue series with Frankenstein. My next book that I have working is Dorian, which is a play on the picture of Dorian Gray, set in the porn industry, where Dorian is an AI. It's basically an AI porn hub. And so it's exploiting people. It's putting all of their sins and their darkness and their depravity on display. And it stays young and powerful forever, but it ruins these people. So Dorian's next. Eventually, I'll get to the Wolfman, but I'm just not a werewolf person, so I'm kind of putting that one off. We're working on a way to tie zombies into it, which I think that's going to be fairly easy with what we've done with Victor Frankenstein and Prometheus in Chains. So yeah, building this whole shared universe, it's caused me to have to learn to be very, very, very organized, which is something that I'm not always so good at.
Sorry about we've got a little bit of Wi-Fi hiccups, guys. I'm so sorry about that. We heard most of it, Rich, I promise.
Okay, I hope so.
So this is a fun thing I want to do. So you mentioned earlier that in the world that you've built for Cult of Dracula, that everyone's in 3 categories: food, breeders, or pets. So everyone that's watching, pick what you think you would be in this universe. Are you food, breeders, or pets? I'm probably food, honestly.
I hope I'm a pet. That would be I think the best outcome in this, but I would probably end up being food.
Yeah, I mean, your food all the way. Oh man!
At least hopefully you'd be a good meal.
Funny thing to know. I don't know. There's not much to me, so pet food. Oh my goodness. So for Dorian Gray, do you have a publisher home for that book?
Yeah, I believe that one's going to also come out from Red 5. I've really enjoyed working with Red 5, which, hey, they're right there in your neck of the woods in Houston. I really like those guys. Josh and everyone over there has been very kind. And I'm the kind of person, I really would like to find a home for my work. I don't really have all these ambitions to go write for Marvel or DC. I mean, those are great. And, hey, Marvel, DC, if you're listening, I will gladly sign a contract. It's just not the thing I really want to do. I want to tell my own stories, and I want to do it. I want to do it with a place where I'm comfortable and I have that foundation, that stability to be able to grow and do what I want. And so, Red 5 might be the place that offers that. It's been amazing to work with them. They're very excited about the projects that I've proposed to them. And, Prometheus is doing very, very well. Reviews coming in are fantastic. Sales are very, very solid, especially considering the market that we're in. I think we're laying the foundation for a lot of opportunities to work together between myself and Red 5 Comics. Highly recommend you check out their portfolio of books. You got some really cool stuff, and if you're not reading them already, you definitely should. Start with my book.
I like Lisa Noble's response. Couldn't tell if you said readers or breeders, but I'll pick one of those.
You know what? Both. You can read while you breed.
Perfect, Lisa. We'll take it. All right. Are you going to be appearing at any conventions near anybody this summer?
Yeah. So I go to Heroes Con this coming weekend in Charlotte, North Carolina. Then I'm doing Creepy Con, which is a Tennessee horror convention. I'll be doing that. I'm doing Scarefest in Lexington, Kentucky. New York Comic Con, San Diego Comic Con this year. I'll be there. And probably some other fan expo shows scattered in there throughout the year. And so yeah, I'm doing that con circuit again, and I love it. I love meeting people. I love talking about my books. I love meeting people face to face. And so yeah, if you guys are listening and you bump into me at a con, please just say hi.
Got the last 1 minute. Do you want to drop your social media for where is the best place to be up to date for when you launch stuff?
Absolutely. So the best place to follow me is going to be on Facebook or Instagram. It's World of Dracula on both of those. We also just launched the worldofdracula.com website. And I am launching later this month a Nightmare Media Patreon. Where people will be able to get some behind the scenes sneak peeks into my creative process. And I'll also offer some guidance to folks who might be interested in breaking into the comic book industry, kind of tell my story, do one-on-one chats with people, just talk to them about, how to hire an artist, how to pitch to a publisher. Because I was absolutely nobody when I first started pitching Cult of Dracula. And I had to learn a whole lot and had to earn a whole lot of humility as well. But I made a lot of mistakes, and, I maybe could have gotten there faster and better had I not made them. But I'm glad that I made them because I learned, and now I can share that knowledge with other people. So the Patreon, Nightmare Media, will launch later this month. Nightmare Media is another business that I'm outlining and building at the moment, which ultimately what my goal would be to have my own imprint under a larger publisher's umbrella, kind of Robert Kirkman with Skybound. I think that ultimately would be my goal in comics, is to have my own publishing imprint, to just tell my stories and to help other people that I like and that I appreciate their work, kind of help them get their books out there.
Well, that's awesome. You're so giving your time. I think that happens to people that have had people help them out.
I had so many people help me, and when they had no reason to help me, but they did, and they sat me down, they talked to me, they gave me guidance and advice. And so it would be an incredible disrespect to them if I was not willing to pay it forward. So as a thank you to all the people who helped me coming up and who continue to help me as I continue to go up, I will gladly pay that forward and help people. I'm always happy to lend my time when I can. And I love talking comics, and I love talking to comic book people. So if you're out there and you need advice, you want to know what I did wrong, message me. I'll respond and we'll talk about it.
Perfect. Thank you so much, sir. I'm glad to hang out with you. Feel like someday we'll get to see each other. We'll see each other at Comic-Con, I'm sure.
Absolutely. We better anyway.
All right, everybody, make sure that next week you hit up your local comic shop and find that Red 5 stand and pick up Prometheus and Chains so you can see the next part in the shared universe. Stick around, everybody, because we're going to hang out with Henri Compton next. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye.
You know how when you go to Comic-Con, after Comic-Con, you go to the hotel bar, and there's a whole bunch of people playing music and dancing, and you've got Pikachu and Lara Croft Tomb Raider doing the cha-cha slide just down from Deadpool and Batman and Wonder Woman? That's every Saturday night over on the Experience Twitch channel. Join Taji Beats for the EXP Dance Party, exclusively on Twitch, twitch.tv/the_EXP. Why was Princess Zelda sad after watching a bunch of YouTube videos? She couldn't find the link in the description. We'll stop if you subscribe to our YouTube channel. It's super easy. Click subscribe and click the bell when you do. And thanks for supporting the EXP.
Everybody, and welcome back. I'm Miss Jen here on The Experience with Talkin Shop, our weekly show. We try to get you the very best in interviews so that you can be one of the cool kids and know what's coming out that is super interesting to read. Thank you, Lisa, for following us. We're so thankful for that. If you know some friends that you think would like this kind of programming, we have lots of other stuff that happens here on The Experience. We'd love it if you would share and subscribe and like and give us hearts and all those kinds of things. I know that we've been making a fun push this week on our social media and in our newsletter for the producers. If everyone could give them hearts and thumbs up, it's just they're amazing, and we can't make anything work without them. And that's kind of how they get there. They're like, look, I'm doing a good job because people give me thumbs up. So if it's easy. Hey, John Johnson's on. Welcome. All right, let's talk to the king of the comic book convention complete sellout. I couldn't find another C in there. Sorry. Henri Compton.
Freeman! Wait, hold on. I want to see it. Freeman! Sorry. It's a little dark in here. What's up, Jen? How you doing? Long time no see.
I messed up completely. I should have had in my hands the custard cake, whatever.
Yeah, seriously, like, what's the deal? We got to tell everybody the story behind that now. I was going to start with it, but I'm like, you know what? It's an inside joke, and only Liam and Leo would understand that.
That's true.
And Mike. That's it. This is a closed circuit of people who understand that we went to this place called, what was it called again?
That is the House of Pies.
A House of Pie. And they had this thing on the menu where you could, like, get a milkshake. They would take any kind of pie over there. They'd make a milkshake out of it. And I really wanted this egg cream pie shake, and I didn't get it. Because Jen was like, have some discipline, damn it. You got 2 days on this, 2 more days on the floor. And I'm like, fine. And I didn't let her hear the end of it for the rest of the weekend. I was like, you know what I could really go for? Especially when the show got really slow. I was like, I could really go for one of those egg cream pie shakes.
What he's lying about here is that he ate a really good meal and he was full and could not possibly eat this thing.
But I wanted that shake. Like, there's a difference between wanting and needing.
This is the truth. So I got to witness firsthand. Like, I've seen, you guys, if you follow Henri on social media, you've seen a million pictures of him, I think 200 plus times, selling completely out of his stock that he brings with him to conventions. And lest you think it's a tiny amount of stock he brings, that's a lie. It was like a half pallet that he sent to us. And then he sent like 3 or 4 more boxes of things to have everything for Comic Palooza. But he really does things differently than a lot of other independent creators that I see. It's not that the independent creators are, like not paying attention to the customer base walking by, but Henri really, every single person that walks by that's not like sprinting by, he just asks them, can I tell you about my book? And he, like draws them over and gives them the quick pitch. And if they like the base part of his series, I think he sells like the 1 through 5 or 6 to start. Then he starts adding on things that they might like if they thought that was a good thing. And so he makes it quick and easy for them so they don't have to like spend a lot of time. Like, they're probably headed to something or somewhere. And he closes on a lot of sales because he realizes that he has to be short and to the point and friendly and nice, and has a really easy way of explaining what the series is about, so it's not overwhelming. And I sincerely watched him completely sell every single thing. I used to think that there was a trick to it, like for the last 12 boxes or whatever, you sold them to a retailer, but nope, that's not the way it goes down.
No, most of the time retailers don't want to be stuck with extra inventory from me, because then they have to do what I do and go out and sell it. And it's kind of defeats the purpose of what I do at these conventions, which is to try and build the audience one person at a time. And it's a lot of work in the sense that you're gonna deal with a lot of rejection. So for every sale that I get, there's long periods where I will continuously get rejected. But rejection is not necessarily someone telling you that they're not ever going to buy your book. They're just not going to buy your book at this moment. They could come back later, or they could come back a few years from now, or they could take your information. I usually give out bookmarks, which I highly recommend every creator have on their table. Something with information people can take. Something I learned a couple years ago from another creator, Mike Watson, is to have QR codes with FSK, Freestyle Comics. And to be honest with you, I'm learning from everybody who's doing this, but I'm also learning from people like you, Jen. In all honesty, for as much as you're talking me up, you were working so hard at that convention. I don't think Jen didn't even take bathroom breaks. She was on her feet all 10 hours with some coffee and orange juice, and she was moving a lot of stuff. And I have to say, I learned a lot being a part of that experience at Comicpalooza. Setting up at the show made me realize how much work actually goes into presenting at these conventions and what running a brick and mortar is really like. So it's really opened my eyes to so much as a reseller as well, and just the kind of things that the kind of relationships I want to build with retailers, because again, I don't want to stick a store with 40 copies of Beast and Shin, because now that's their problem. I want it to be to where if they take those books, they know that they're going to sell them, and that they don't have to really put that much effort into doing that. It should be a really fluid thing, and I think that's something that takes time to do. You have to really build an audience for what you're doing, and to really build your relationship with retailers so that it's easy for them and that they're not stuck with boxes and boxes of your stuff. What's up, Val?
I'm sure that you got to meet Val, who's one of the sweetest people on the entire planet, and she just spends all her time lifting other people up. You should always get to know Val.
She's fantastic. She's been such a huge supporter, and again, I appreciate the fact that you introduced us. But it takes a village, right, to do everything we're doing, and I'm learning that through Warline, the new book that I have coming out now. It's currently on Kickstarter, and you guys are welcome to back it. We are at, from what I last checked, at 98 backers. And something I've been thinking about recently is that it's not necessarily about the amount of backers that you have up on. It's not about the amount of money that you raise on these Kickstarters. It's more about the amount of backers that you have. And that's something that I really am happy to see with this campaign, is that we're constantly growing the number of backers. Like last night, I did a show on my network where I was selling comics, and we were at 95 backers. Today we're at 98. So we're very close. We're inching closer to 100. Don, what's up, man? Backer 7, my man. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
7.
Number 7. Lucky number 7. I'm going to throw something in there since you're lucky number 7. You'll just have to remind me and nudge me when fulfillment comes. But that's something that I'm really excited about with Warline, is the fact that fulfillment's going to be really quick on this one. When we did our Yisum Shin campaign back in August, it took me a number of months to take care of fulfillment, because we had a problem where a lot of our issues had to go back to press. we were selling out at so many conventions that I ran out of stock, so I couldn't actually take care of fulfillment. So basically, I went back to press, and not only did I go back to press, I worked with my editor, Chuck Pino, and we went back in and refined those issues of Yusum Shin, and we gave our backers a much better product. So that's where the majority of our money went from what we raised on Kickstarter. But we handled, as soon as we handled all the fulfillment for that, we launched our campaign for Warline. And that's something that I'm starting to learn is everything works so differently in comics, the way comic sales work. And it's not about the sales necessarily, it's about, you know, building up that trust with your customer base. And I think like you and I had a lot of conversations about this with live stream sales, is that, you know, you just got to keep doing it and you got to be consistent. If you're going to like do it one week, but not the next week, if you're not going to be on, you know, at a time when people can depend on you to be there, it's going to be really hard to kind of get things rolling again. And I kind of knew that. I just took a 3-week break because I had to get everything together for Kickstarter, and I'm one person doing everything, and it's kind of hard to find someone else to come in. But now I have to work harder to kind of build back that that dependency for my audience, that they know that I'm going to be on the air. And you know, aside from that, it's like going to conventions, it's a completely different animal now. Now it's just like, hey, there's a whole bunch of people in a room, and I want to talk to as many of them as I possibly can. I don't want to waste their time because I want to talk to as many people as I can. So I try and boil my pitch down to like 30 seconds, and even I've actually boiled it down to 15 seconds. And you want to just keep people moving. And it's
I've heard that one.
Yeah, you've heard it like a bazillion times already. Yeah. But it's
but the thing is, it's so funny is that like as you went on, like as we got closer to the end of the convention, those last few people, I'm not even sure if they understood the way you were saying. You said it so quickly, they just like, sure.
Yeah, that did. I had to dig real deep for that. I mean, that the last like 15 minutes of that show, it was just, you know, there were certain things that I knew I couldn't leave that floor not selling out when I had so few books left. And so it was just a matter of, you know, just really, I was kind of like in a hyper mode. And I don't like getting there because it's not really the ideal place that I want to be. But sometimes, I mean, that's how it goes, right? And when you're on deadline, you know, it's like you're kind of trying to move at a faster pace. And that's one angle of it. But now I'm learning completely different stuff through Kickstarter. And with Kickstarter, it's a really slow grind. And it's not so much about how much money you're raising, because honestly, I'm intimidated when I look at Kickstarter. I mean, there are people who outperform me, you know, by far. You know, there are people out there who are raising, you know, tens of thousands of dollars for one comic, and it's insane. And I'm nowhere near that, and I know that, and it's something that I have resolved myself to just be okay with. And the thing is taking that mindset of being there for the customer and just really being patient with the process. You know, some days you're going to go on Kickstarter and you're going to raise hundreds of dollars. And then some days you're going to raise like 20 or 30 bucks. And it's okay. Because as long as I'm doing what I need to do, at the end of the day, when I look in the mirror and I say to myself, did I do everything I possibly could to bring on more people? As long as the answer to that is yes, then I did all I can, you know. So that's something you said, practicing.
Right, contentment. That's right. I got to start a fight with you. What you have against Ben Reilly, yo?
I don't. I have nothing against Ben Reilly, but everybody's been making fun of him. I actually really like Ben Reilly. He came up with impact webbing, and he kicked Venom's ass without like any support. But I have to say, he got raw dogged in that movie. He got seriously raw dogged in that movie. But no, I got.
That's sad drama. Look at that wall.
See, but you see, here's the thing, though. The way the movie made him a farce. But if you really, some of the Clone Saga stuff was written by writers who I actually hired to work with me because the work that they did on that was so good. like J.M. DeMatteis, what he did with all of the ASM stuff leading up to Aunt May's death, that was some of the most profound stuff ever. And, you know, they didn't mention in the movie, of course, that Ben Reilly is a clone of Peter Parker, and that, you know, he went years having to deal with the fact that he wasn't the real Spider-Man. There was a really great miniseries done by John Romita Jr. Called Spider-Man: The Lost Years, where Ben Reilly was just on the road and helping. There was one point where he was helping out a man who was suicidal, and he helped this man. You know, he saved this man from killing himself, and you know, why would he do that? You know, because he's a clone. You know, he doesn't have a life that belongs to himself, but he values life so much that he was willing to help out somebody else. So I ain't got nothing against him. I was just kind of like troping and going along with everything, because they really did raw dog the movie. But he's a great character, and I think anybody who laughs about him really needs to go back and read some of the comics that he showed up. But he's a great character. I love Ben Reilly.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't follow Henri on social media, he had just posted up one of those fun things where it's like equates the month of your birth with a specific character, which I always thought was just like AA is trying to like glean information from you without you knowing it.
Well, I'll tell you something that really bothers me, Jen, is people putting the title war in front of their comic. I mean, what's the deal with that? Like, I came across this book called War Dancer, War Child, War Cry. I mean, come on. It's like, be original. Don't use the word war in front. So lame. That's been something I've been jumping out on my show. Every time I come across anything with war in it, like Warlock, come on, Warlock. You couldn't come up with a better title than Warlock.
It's like, so this is a fun thing to talk about. When you name a series, like Yushu Shin made sense. But do you struggle with titles? So they
God.
Like, you have to really work through it?
Yes. It took me like 3 months to come up with the title War Lion. And I did come across the title. I did consider Battle Lion at one point, and everybody told me it was a horrible title. I'm like, damn it. So my middle name, the reason why it's War Lion, Lev is my middle name, and Lev is Hebrew for lion. So that was sort of like why I was when I was coming up with the character, I was really kind of like thinking about that. The war part, it surprisingly took, even Yisun Shin took me a long time to come up with. Like, it was not a simple, like, even Yisun Shin, I think that took me like 5 months to come up with that title, because what the heck is a Yisun Shin? Like, how do you even explain to people what a Yisun Shin is? And it wasn't until I brought David Anthony Kraft on board, and he said, well, it needs a subtitle that explains what it is. So he came up with the subtitle Warrior Defender. Well, that now everybody knows what a Yisun Shin is. With Warline, it was more about like, how do I make this compelling to the point where like you wanna check out what this book is and what it's about. So that it still takes time. I don't think titles are easy, especially now with how many titles there are out there. You know, like every week there's like hundreds of new comics coming out, and you know it's hard to set yourself apart as being unique. You know, I think you really just need to be true to yourself when you're telling the stories that you're telling, and do what feels right to you, and forget about what everybody else is doing. Do you first, and if the better you do you, the more successful you're going to be. How was that for an answer? Now I'm going to take a victorious sip of my coffee.
Oh, yeah, cheers. Coffees.
Cheers.
Coffee up, everybody.
I didn't say cheers.
This is from one of my sweet customers. Has a little coffee.
Is it a milkshake? A cream milkshake? No,
it's straight up coffee. Coffee black.
Coffee black. There you go.
I'm a dumb person because I need to hydrate, but I dehydrate all day long by drinking black coffee, which it's dumb. I should drink water.
Yeah, I balance it out too. I do the same thing. I drink coffee and then I have water. But you really are one of the hardest
No
working
balance.
people. Just constantly, moving. I don't think there's one moment I see you just like standing still. You're always moving and doing something.
Well, it's also important to have downtime. Like I've been making concerted efforts on Sundays to, like, as much as I really find myself thinking, oh, there's some comic books sitting there I could list. I really give myself permission to just lay on the couch and put on Ancient Aliens and take a nap. It's really important for just for good balance, life balance. It's like, it's okay to seem like you're working all the time, but to actually be working all the time is probably bad for your soul.
I totally agree with that, because working all the time, I don't think you're going to be doing your best work. I think you're burning yourself out, and when you do that, there's a higher capacity to make mistakes, and there's such a thing as overworking, and it doesn't produce the highest results and everything. Like, even right now, I've been wrestling with a layout concept for Warline, and I need to keep my artist working. I want to get this book, this next issue, illustrated, and just no ideas are coming to me. So, and there's a myriad of reasons. I've got so many other things that I'm distracted by, but until those ideas come to me, it's just, it's not that I'm not working. It's not that I'm not working or that I'm not writing. I'm just haven't found the right, form of inspiration yet. Speaking of which, we should discuss Alien 3 now, since we have like 8 minutes left to talk about it. And I really did like the acting.
Oh, okay. We're going to go on an excursus.
Oh yeah. Oh, absolutely. And just to tie it back to Warline, I've been watching all the Alien movies because Warline 2 is going to have a big beast battle between Warline and this metallic monstrous creature that you'll see in issue 1. And so I've been watching all the Alien movies, and I took my son on this journey with me. We watched the first 2. We skipped to Prometheus. We watched Covenant, which is a great movie, by the way. It's a sequel to Prometheus. And now we went back and we watched Alien 3. And here's my overall review of Alien 3. I think it's a revamped version of the original movie. Like, if you took the original movie, and it looks better than the original movie did. Some nice twists in there, the way they brought Ripley's arc to a conclusion, and some really good acting. But there were some things that really bothered me about it. Like, how did they not have weapons on a prison planet? Like, nothing? Not even I don't know. I thought that was.
Where are you going to go?
Well, that's true, but still, you don't want prisoners overrunning the place. You have to maintain some sort of order, right? I would think.
They're pretty much self-prisoning.
They were. Well, the surgeon definitely was, and you were right. He was phenomenal. And when he died, I was like, oh my God, I didn't see that coming at all. Like, that was crazy. Sorry for the spoiler, guys. If you haven't seen Alien 3, go see it. But, it was definitely, and I can see why people weren't fans of it compared to when you see where they went with Aliens, which takes the concept and expands upon it.
Right.
There's really nowhere else you can go with it. But what I liked is that it wasn't this. It was a send off for the characters, really, for Ripley. And now we just got to watch Resurrection, which I've seen it before, but it's been a really long time, and I kind of want to go back and see it again. Did you see it?
When you watch Resurrection, just know that the basketball shot that Sigourney does is a one-shot take.
The basketball shot? She plays basketball in there?
An actual shot.
Really? Yeah. Well, Sigourney Weaver, I'm never going to play.
It'll blow your mind.
I'm never going to play one-on-one with Sigourney Weaver, probably because I can't get in a room with her, but she'd also kick my ass, too, so it's all good. But I bet you I could sell her some comics.
Yeah, you could. All right, so where's the we've already got the Kickstarter link up. We encourage you guys to go and support it. Just any level is great.
Yes.
Or share it if it's not something you can do right now because of finances. Just share it to people that you think might like that kind of story. Where's the right place for people to follow you on social media in general?
Well, you guys can follow me on Facebook, Instagram, at Compen on Instagram. But I'm also, doing shows on The Experience. I go live every Wednesday evening at 7 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 9 p.m. Central, and 10 p.m. Eastern. I'll have new comics. I'll be talking about the Kickstarter more. I went on a large diatribe yesterday about it. And we do have some of the best producers on The Experience. And I am so lucky I get to work with JD McIntyre every week. And we make jokes together. And he's absolutely fantastic, really hardworking guy. And so you can find me on there. And then I'm also on the Comic Book Shopping Network every Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 12 p.m. Central, and 1 p.m. Eastern. And that's where you can find me there. And social media, just, type me in on Facebook. You follow me, I'll follow you. You want to be friends, I want to be friends.
Yeah, and you guys, if you don't watch Henri's selling shows, his sales shows, you should. I mean, they're the deals that are offered. I don't even understand why people don't take them sometimes. I'm like,
you should see what I got yesterday. You should see what I have. Oh. I got so much stuff. It's ridiculous. All $2 comics. Most of the time I build my racks. I'm always doing $2 comics because I want to move through comics. If I have a show and I move just a little tiny stack of books, even if I make hundreds of dollars off that stack, that's not a good show for me. A good show for me is when I'm selling like big stacks. And the reason why I say that is because I like going out and buying comics. I love going out and going to a comic shop, stocking up on stuff, and walking away with a big long box. And I recently went to Beyond Tomorrow Comics in Palatine, which is about 20 minutes from me, and they have a huge independent comic section. And I got a ton of really awesome stuff there, which I'll have up for sale tomorrow.
Woo.
Thank you, Val.
Val mentions your board deals.
You're the best. Val is the greatest. I love you.
All right. Thank you so much for hanging out with us. Thank you. I will be hanging out with you again soon, I'm sure, with or without things.
You're the best, sister. Thank you so much for having me. Love you guys.
Love y'all. Thank you guys for being with us. Stick around. We got other awesome stuff happening today. I am fairly certain that I'm going to be running General Disorder at 7 p.m. Central. So if not, it'll be Jenna, and you'll be much more happy because she's awesome.
Jenna is awesome.
Everybody, see you guys later.
See you guys.
Join the party. Head over to our link tree to find all the links for everywhere the experience is all the time.